Stadium. Danka Kovinic, her opponent, and just crossing now what she'll wear today. It's designed by Serena Williams herself. Nike Court Flare, 2 swooshes, diamond-encrusted swoosh, 400 handset diamonds. So, Clinton, you're there. You're our man on the scene. What are we witnessing tonight?
I think what we're witnessing tonight is going to be one of the bigger moments in sports that we've seen from a tennis standpoint in a long time. This isn't even really about the match. Serena hasn't played more than a handful of matches in the last year. I don't think that anybody can realistically say she's going to make some long run, if for no other reason than the reps just on the tennis court. But the moment itself will absolutely be huge. The last thing we think about is when she was there with Naomi Osaka, and we think about all the other times that she has graced that court and really made it her own here in Flushing. There are going to be a lot of stars in the building, I presume. I imagine that New York is going to show up and show out for basically the Queen Serena to have her send-off for what we know of her career.
A lot of stars in the building. I see that New York behind your name. You're there, Clinton Yates. Stars are, yeah, we've got that covered. Justin Tinsley will bring you in here on what tonight possibly may be.
You know, logically, like, I don't think anybody's expecting her to win the Grand Slam. But if she is going to make a Grand Slam run, it would be at the Grand Slam where she's been most dominant. So, yes, to quote Jim Carrey, I'm telling you, there's a chance that a run may happen. Because, look, in the last 11 Opens she's played, she's never not made the semis. And in the Open era, she's either tied for first or either first outright in matches won, finals appearances, or titles. So, yes, I get that was then and this is now. But being on the court with Serena, that's going to be the brightest light in sports. And her opponent tonight, Kovinic, she's never even played in Arthur Ashe Stadium. So when you hear Naomi Osaka call her the biggest force in the sport, that's who you're playing with. So I'm not guaranteeing a U.S. Open title, rather, but it is going to be tough to play her on those type of pressure and at that type of setting.
Jay Adande, are you as high as Tinsley here? A realistic expectation for Serena tonight?
Not quite, but Justin, I will guarantee she'll be a part of this U.S. Open regardless of her performance. Even if she goes out tonight, guess what? We're still going to be seeing her in endorsements throughout the duration of this Grand Slam event. And that actually might be her greatest legacy to the sport, a sport which really insisted upon showcasing people like Anna Kournikova, Maria Sharapova, because that's what they thought the sport looked like. Even though Serena had much greater success than they did, she successfully became the face of the sport, even beyond endorsing tennis-related companies and products, right? So she's the go-to person when you think of tennis. It now looks like Serena Williams. It looks completely different than it used to, and we're going to see advertisement from her, and we'll see others coming up in her wake, as we've already seen with the likes of Naomi Osaka and Coco Gauff. That is Serena's legacy.
And Bob Ryan.
Well, she's not winning the tournament. She's not winning any tournament. It's an event tonight, but a bigger event if she loses, because, I mean, that's it. But you know what? You guys are not you guys. Some people act as if it's not 2022. Her last Open victory was 8 years ago. Her last Grand Slam victory of any kind was 5 years ago in Australia. We have seen her this year lose a love set. So let's get serious. She's not going anywhere.
And you're saying that, of course, respectfully, Bob, just to be in a place of reality.
I mean, it's all in the books. We know her greatness. We know her legacy. It's established. It will not be affected one iota by anything that happens here in New York. That's all. And I'm glad to see that she's low-keying it, too. That's really nice.
The 400 handset diamonds here? Well, I mean, that's her style. That's part of who she has been, and that is another part of her legacy. Clinton Yates, I'll give you a last word on Serena.
If Serena Jamaica Williams wants to show off at the U.S. Open on her way out, she has more than earned that right on every single level. But also, she's playing doubles with her sister, which is going to be fun to see. It isn't just about the tennis. It's about the grace and everything else she brings as a human being to the court that a lot of people are attracted to just as an athlete overall in terms of why they like her.
They name courts after you when you retire. This is her last one. Well, I mean, we're going to have to find another court. This is Arthur Ashe's, of course. Great one. But Serena certainly has earned that as well. It's going to be an event tonight. We'll move on. All right, next story. I believe Tom Brady. Here it is, your moment of zen.
It's all personal. You know, everyone's got different situations they're dealing with, so we all have really unique challenges to our life. And I'm 45 years old, man. There's a lot of going on.
Feel that in my bones, Tom. Brady is back with the Buccaneers, And he's back in the top 100. As voted on by NFL players, he's number 1. Bob Ryan, you saw a lot there with Brady's appearance and at the podium, and of course his being number 1 now, and him coming back after being away and not really giving a full explanation. Did you need to hear more, and where do you want to begin?
Okay, well, I'll start out. I figured it out, guys. He's trying to win the Kevin Bacon look-alike contest. So that's number 1. Number 2, some people are worried about the ominous nature of how he described his personal life situation right now. There's a lot of going on and all that. All I know is this: whenever he takes a snap from center, all that it's irrelevant. He can compartmentalize himself. He will do that. Whatever's going on in his personal life will have zero effect on his performance on the field. Now, as far as his ranking is concerned, he's neither number 1 nor number 20. All right, so a fair compromise. Okay, I'll make him number 10.
Okay, but he's been ranked number 1 by players. Jay Adande, I turn to you.
He can no longer be number 1, and I point you toward that hiatus that he took during training camp. Pete Sampras was the first one that I heard verbalize this, but he said, if you want to be the number 1 at the top of your profession in sports, you have to do it to the exclusion of all else. Family, outside interests, your dedication has to be focused on sport. And the fact that he spent 11 days away from the team indicates that sports and football is no longer his top priority. And that's
Are you
fine.
serious, Jay? Okay, those 11 days away.
It's actually healthy. Every single minute, I'm serious, needs to be dedicated to this if you're going to be the number 1 in your sport. Above all else, it has to be singular focus. He obviously doesn't have that right now. He can still be great. He can't be number 1.
Jay, I don't even think you blinked while you were giving that answer. That is singular focus on Around the Horn today. I can't argue with that, Justin Tinsley. On the idea, he was away 11 days. There was a lot of Sturm und Drang about where he might possibly be or what's going on in his life. And some of this could be very serious. I think we have to leave open the possibility. We know he's talked at least partially about his mother's health in the past and his father's health in the past and things like that can also be in play. But he said, I'm 45, man. There's a lot going on.
Look, as you just said, I won't speculate what that quote actually means, but I do know this. That is an awesome title for a future tell-all memoir. I would pre-order that book right now if that was the title.
There's a lot of bleep going on. Yeah, that's good.
I felt that in my bones. But look, here's one thing we know about Tom Brady. Week 1, unfortunately, against the Dallas Cowboys, he will be ready. That guy needs preseason games like Beyonce needs help with promotion and marketing. They sell themselves, man. And look, this is Tom Brady we're talking about here. Look, I get it. The offensive line is worrisome for the Bucs this year. I get that. But if Tom Brady is your quarterback, he's under center, you're in the Super Bowl hunt. The last 4 times a Tom Brady-led team has lost in the playoffs, they won the Super Bowl very next year. And about him being number 1 in these rankings, this isn't by the media. These are people who he plays Sunday and Monday every week. These are his peers. So if his peers still give him that respect at 45 years old, I have no reason to doubt Tom Brady. If he ends this season with his 8th ring, I will be anything but surprised.
Ben Yates.
Tom Brady looking like a senior, just coasting until graduation. Forget class, forget any of that. He's just showing up to make sure that you know that he's still in the school. But, I mean, listen, this isn't just about Brady for me. This is about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The number 1 thing that he does not have, which is the reason why this dude has been so successful, Robert James Gronkowski. Without him, I don't think that team is the same, never mind the offensive line problems. So whether or not Brady is all the way there or not is a different matter than whether or not the Bucs are actually going to be that good, and I don't think that they will. No.
But you were joking about he's just a senior, he's coasting. But Jay, serious that those 11 days missed in camp is a window into somebody who's not all there. Bob, are you buying that from Adande?
No, I don't buy that at all. I think you can, because this guy can compartmentalize himself, period. The great ones can. They all can. Just because a guy goes going to pomp a statement like Sampras doesn't mean he's right. And as far as the players' rankings are concerned, we have learned time and again in every sport that they're about the last people to go to for honest appraisals of anything. So they don't.
Oh, I certainly think this was honest. I mean, again, I felt that. Justin, you too. You felt it in your bones, Jay, right? I mean, this was.
Yeah, I absolutely related to it. And again, it's normal, right? But Tom Brady, you can't be normal. And it's normal to deal with middle-aged stuff like Tom Brady is. But guess what? You can't be normal and be the greatest. Well, those two things are key.
It's never really happened before. We've never seen a quarterback at his age, at his level, be voted number 1 in the league. Tinsley, you got a last word?
Look, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. If you can't feel that, that is the quote of the summer. Shout out to Tom Brady for that. There's a lot of stuff going on out here.
Taking a break right here. Donde, 12. Tinsley, 15. Yates, 11. Ryan, 12. The question, original gangster question of Around the Horn. Rory was 10 shots back, 2 holes in on Thursday. 6 shots back yesterday, but pulled it off. J.A., it's a question I've asked you at least 100 times before. What do you got?
This is a W for Rory McIlroy. It's a W for the PGA Tour. It's a reminder that, hey, there's big paychecks out here, too, if you go out and earn it. And also, it's a W for the sport of golf, because any other sport, if we saw a company guy who'd carry the flag for his company like Rory has for the PGA Tour this year, we'd say, oh, the officials are hooking it up. They were looking out. There'd be all these conspiracy theories saying why he won. Well, in golf, you don't have that. You don't have judging and officiating coming into play. So the sport won as well. It was a nice, clean victory.
J.A. and Donde with a conspiracy theory that no one asked for, but thank you very much. Justin Tinsley, how about you?
I mean, for Rory, that was the best guy in the sport doing what he does. That 30-foot birdie on 15, that's a career highlight right there. And sports has shown us this. To have a big comeback, you got to have a big collapse. Rory got the big collapse, but he still had to play out of his mind to even get that win, and he did just that. So it was a great moment for Rory.
Did McIlroy win it or Scheffler lose it?
Scheffler had a rough day, but I think McIlroy won it. And overall, just the idea of seeing his face with people cheering him on is very important for the PGA at this point. You can say that the LIV Tour is out of mind, out of sight, whatever it may be, but the simple fact of seeing a star that we know in this league and not some idea for something out there actually playing and winning tournaments, very big win for him and the tour overall.
Bob Ryan.
Speaking of buying, I want you to know that I toasted Rory at dinner last night with my annual Guinness, and I've got 3 family witnesses and a server to prove it. Now, that being the case,
All right, Bob,
Justin
there you go.
It's the gospel truth. As Justin indicated, every great comeback requires a concurrent collapse of some degree, okay? No matter what sport it is, you have to have something to happen to help you along the way. And another thing you could that helps is luck. He's got a shot that's flying off on the downtown Manhattan, hits the stick, falls away for 7 feet away for a putt that you can make. So you need that as well. So here's the summation, though. I'd say it was 75-25. 75 Rory doing well, and 25 Scheffler screwing up.
Few of those Guinness were raised on Saturday, I believe. The #1 highlight of the college football week 0, well, it was the lines that actually were for the beer. That was free, by the way, once again, because the internet was down. But here we are. You know the play. 28-17, third quarter. That's when Nebraska goes for the surprise onside kick. They don't recover it. With the short field, Northwestern scored, came back and won this one. Scott Frost said it was his call. He was trying to put the game away. We know about the Seattle region of Scott Frost. And J.A., I need to say, I know you view this from the Northwestern perspective, but is this another log? Could it be the last log on the fire underneath Scott Frost in Nebraska?
So I'll try to put my encouragement by the play of the offensive line, the quarterback, the running backs, and even the punter for Northwestern. Try to put that aside and view it from actually a journalistic perspective. And I'm a little sad that the story coming out of this was whether or not Scott Frost has lost his job in week 0 over one decision. Is that where college football is at? I don't think that's a healthy place for the sport to be.
Okay, but an answer to that question, J.A. Donde, the losing streak they're on, you have the lead in a game, a high-profile game, and an onside kick.
He's got the rest of the season to get it right.
You refuse to answer the question. Let me ask you, Justin Tinsley. Onside kick there, is that a good call or a bad call?
It was a terrible call. Scott Frost had way too much dip on his chip. They were up 11 at halftime. What was he doing? And now that the first major conference team in almost 90 years with 7 straight single-digit losses, this is his fault.
Glenn Yates.
J.A., you're acting so stunned that this is where we are with college football. We're playing week 0 games across the pond for no reason at all between terrible teams that half of America doesn't care about. This is a destination wedding where we don't even like the couple. I mean, come on. If you're going to fire Scott Frost over this, I don't think that you're actually caring about what happens with Nebraska overall. That guy's won 5. I mean, he's won 15 total games.
I thought the game
I'm not that concerned about it.
It was a fun game. I thought it was bonkers. I thought it was great, but that is a tremendous line from Clayton Yates. And Bob Ryan.
No, he doesn't get fired because of this. He gets fired because they can't coach the team well at all. We know that. Their record's been abysmal the last few years. Look, it was at any time, it's a very, very risky proposition. It makes no sense. There was no justification. His explanation does not wash. Onside kick are one of the iffiest things in all of sports.
Buy or sell
They'll have a
3.
75%
Mike
win
Tomlin.
probability.
Mike, do you have a starting quarterback?
I might, but you guys not going to have it today. Again, like I told you guys the other week, man, we're not going to make knee-jerk reactions and statements following the performance. We'll go through our normal procedure this time of year, and we'll disclose it to you at our leisure, to be quite honest with you.
Justin Tinsley, buy or sell?
Oh, I'm buying it. First Brady, now Tomlin. Great press conference, but let me tell you this. There is a huge difference between to be honest and to be quite honest. Like, there's a huge difference with that. And that's basically said, mind your business. I'll tell you when I want to tell you.
Lynn Yates?
Yeah, we got big dad energy when he says, I don't care if it's the first day of school and you don't have homework, get everything together for the rest of the year kind of vibes overall. Whenever you hear a guy say proper professional procedure, you know you're dealing with a serious individual.
Bob Ryan, do you think Tomlin knows and he's just not telling it? That's his privilege, of course.
Yeah, we know he knows, but what he wants. Look, if I just read this transcript, I would say, oh, Bill Belichick's at it again. This is every bit a Belichickian show of contempt toward the press, and that look at the end said it all. That look said, don't forget, I'm the coach. You guys don't know nothing.
And Adonde, as a reporter, you happy you asked that question?
Well, I'd be satisfied. He doesn't need to tell us because he showed us by leaving Trubisky in for basically the whole first half until he was able to conduct a touchdown
And
drive.
that was the
That's his starting
consensus on the
quarterback.
show
We
on
have the
Friday,
answer.
right? That Trubisky gets because he's a veteran, and then you can always go to the rookie after the case. Jay Adonde, Bob Ryan, original gangsters, but not into the showdown. Tinsley, Yates. We got that 30-30 doc coming up. Showdown. The jump ball between Kalia Copper and Court Williams yesterday. This cracked me up. They didn't let go for what seemed like an eternity. Can't stop, won't stop, you don't stop until they turn off the lights. So the games, you work all season for home court advantage, and then game one, oops, Sky losing to the Sun, Aces losing to the Storm in a wild one. Justin, which outcome means more?
I think both games were great, but I'm taking the Sun over the Sky. You go to the defending champ's house and then you beat them in spite of Candace Parker almost dropping the 2020 game. I think this is a big one considering their recent history against the Sun.
Lynn Yates?
I'm taking the Storm. I thought it was just a better basketball game yesterday. And, of course, we still get the run of Sue Bird. Stewie's back doing well. Jewel played well as well. I thought that game really showed what this team can do at the top level.
Mm-hmm. Justin, you got to at the very end, the way the Sky have owned the Sun, you know, that cosmic existential divide. That was a big, big win for Connecticut. We'll move on. Hawaii over Curacao for the Little League Championship. What a dominant run. Scored 60, let up 5 in the tournament. The final game was a 4-inning shorty thanks to the blowout rule. Clinton Yates, you were there. How do you consider this run to the title?
I think it was a good run for Hawaii, but I want to take a little time because they blew everybody out. It was never a question as to whether or not they were going to win this thing. Some other teams that got there that had great performances, Italy, Australia, Nicaragua had people coming from all over the different states in the Northeast because they could not get families to be there. Overall, it was a great week in
Well, you know, dominance has detractors. Even the 2001 Miami Hurricanes, when they were beating everybody by 50 points, they had detractors. But this team had 14 home runs. The rest of the field had 19. I'm all for dominance, and shout out to Hawaii.
I don't think they were detractors. University of Miami football, not only were these players not alive for that team, these players' parents may not have been alive for that team, Justin. With that, still 30 seconds of FaceTime to JT.
Yeah, I want to take a moment to highlight a story that came out over the weekend. Rachel Richardson is a Duke volleyball player, and she experienced something horrible in Utah while they were playing BYU. Richardson and her African-American teammates were pelted with racial epithets. You see where I'm going with this. And I was not a fan of BYU's athletic department's their lack of response. And this is just another reminder why the trope stick to sports was always an asinine deflection, because even when you try to stick to sports, some people remind you that you can't.
Initially in the comments, BYU's athletic director did not call it racist, generalized, and also, again, generalized over who it was directed at, the player on Duke. But most of all, whenever anyone says, if you know her, you love her, to dismiss racism anyway, racism happens against people you don't know as well.